Meghan and Harry have been up to all sorts of nonsense lately with their leaks and their posts, and all of it is just making a fool of themselves in so many ways, as per usual. So let's dive into some of these recent mistakes. Something that has always been lost on Meghan and Harry is the power of mystery. Just a little bit of mystery can do wonders for a public figure or a celebrity. It really can. But Meghan and Harry just don't get this. From day one, they have been oversharing, which really makes people a lot less curious about you, to the point of not caring at all. And I feel like that is the theme for what they've been up to lately. Meghan clearly had a vision for 2025, and I guess oversharing was part of it. And then Harry, in his tantrum for losing his court case, overshared once again. So much so that he lied and made a fool of himself. Anyway, Meghan Markle made an Instagram post recently with some pregnancy pictures. I thought, hold on, pump the brakes. Did we not just hear Meghan rant for like 10 minutes about how she was out of the prove it game? She wasn't going to be in the prove it game anymore. She had nothing left to prove. But here we are. She is trying to prove that she didn't use a surrogate, because the rumors that she has used a surrogate have been floating and flurrying around her since she announced her pregnancy. And so I think this was a rather odd move. On one hand, it just draws more attention to that, because the picture that she put out was blurry and obscured and dark. It was very dark, like the picture itself, and it was up on a board, and she took a picture from some distance of that printed out picture up on a board. You know what I'm saying? So like, this was not the type of picture that could be scrutinized or viewed as perfectly authentic and real. No editing, no moon bump, no nothing. You know what I mean? So she didn't put this out and like squash all rumors. Like, I've been saying this from the beginning, way back from the start, that Meghan should have squashed these rumors immediately. Meghan and Harry should have. Not because there's something wrong with surrogacy or there's some sort of problem with people thinking that. Like, who cares what people think at the end of the day, right? If you know the truth, then that's that. The problem is that Meghan and Harry are in the public eye and have put themselves in the public eye since they left the royal family. They are keeping themselves in the public eye, and they're putting their kids in the public eye. So I think they have a responsibility to their kids to not let lies fly around about their children for a lot of reasons. One of which being like, someday the kids grow up and see this rumor. Did you use a surrogate or did you give birth to me? Which is it, Mom? You don't want them finding this rumor online and coming to you and you never defending it or clearing the air or telling the truth about it. You don't want that. You want to be like, no, of course not. And if they ever saw that, then they would also see an official statement being like, bam, I did not use a surrogate. So the rumor would die, you know? The rumor would die immediately if you do come out and prove it wrong and say, obviously not, officially, then people aren't going to keep saying it. Duh. So for Meghan and Harry to not, it feels like they're kind of neglecting the feelings of their children and they're kind of setting themselves up for future problems. But also, they're allowing this rumor to continue. And by putting out a picture like this, they're not squashing the rumor at all. In fact, they only spurred on more speculation about it. Now, if she did use a surrogate, that's really the only logical reason why she and Harry have never come out and said anything about it. Because if they did use a surrogate, then that also means that Meghan wandered around wearing a moon bump for months and lied to everyone, which is kind of weird. Now, at the same time, there is a part of me that kind of understands there's a gray area here, where if a woman wants children and can't carry them herself for whatever reason, it's maybe dangerous for her or whatever, and does surrogacy and maybe has, her eggs previously frozen and stuff like that, then it can still be their biological child. It's Meghan's egg, it's Harry's donation, and they have a biological child that's just carried by someone else, because there are people who have, medical problems or bleeding disorders or, things like that where it could be very life-threatening for them to carry a child. So in that case, some women, to help their psychological health and their mental health and their well-being, might choose to wear a moon bump and kind of hide the fact that they're using a surrogate, or to just help them feel a sense of anticipation for having a child. Now, a lot of people view that as super duper strange because it's like you're kind of playing pretend. Why are you doing that? That's weird. But if it's from a context of sort of like a form of therapy to help them cope with not being able to carry their child or not having to tell everyone around them that they have a medical issue that they can't birth their own child, then I can kind of understand that space of like it can be very personal and like really deep, deep feelings for a woman in regards to this subject. It really, really can. So I can understand that little bubble of space. You know what I mean? But in Meghan and Harry's case, I feel that if that was the space that they were in, where they needed to use a surrogate for whatever reason or chose to use a surrogate and also didn't want to have to reveal it to the public, then they shouldn't be posting pictures like this. They shouldn't be drawing attention to it at all. But I also think that Meghan wouldn't be talking about pregnancy stuff and giving birth and stuff like that on her podcast, or Harry wouldn't have stories about this in Spare if that were the case, because that would be taking things to a whole different level and taking things a little too far, I think. So regardless of what you think of whether she used a surrogate or not, regardless, her behavior around this subject is weird because she and Harry have never come out and said unequivocally they did not use surrogates, period, end of story, kill the rumor, real quick like. And when she posts a picture like this, it's not one that would hold up as an authentic piece of evidence proving that she did carry her children. She could have just posted the original picture that was like obviously not manipulated, not edited, no filters, and clearly no moon bump in place. You know what I mean? Like if they wanted to squish these rumors, they could, and they're choosing not to. And that's what I think is weird. And I think it's irresponsible and unfair to their kids. And also I think there's no risk involved in just squashing those rumors. So why play games like this? It's just super strange. So leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm sure it'll be a very interesting discussion there. And please also keep in mind, some of you guys get mad at me for not saying certain things or being like calling out certain things because you do have to be careful, and I think should be careful and respectful when it involves kids. So I'm never going to say certain things in regards to this subject because I just don't think that's fair for them to have on the internet forever. I wouldn't want that if I were a mom, so I won't do it. Okay, you guys have got to excuse me here. I was in the middle of editing this video when Meghan put out, or at least when I caught wind that she put out this pregnancy dancing video thing. Pretty ridiculous. A lot to unpack here, isn't there? So we're going to have to dive a little deeper into it in an upcoming video because I have a feeling this is going to really divide the internet into two very distinct camps. But I didn't want to put out this video without addressing this since it was fresh, and so you'll have to excuse editing Beebs here. I am sorry to be so cash. My initial thoughts on the alleged Lily pregnancy dancing in the hospital room video is that it's really, really tacky and a little intense to be putting on social media, especially with the sort of contradicting image that she's trying to create for herself of being like having a title and wanting to be respected and being this serious all the time, super serious, take me super seriously of how sweet and kind and thoughtful I am and all of these things. There's just so many problems with it, and it's so incongruous with the rest of the image that she's trying to create for herself in terms of PR. And so this just came across really bizarre, kind of absurd, and incredibly tacky. Can somebody please teach these people how to dance, especially Harry? Just crab shuffling across the screen, doing weird stuff with his hands. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Anywho, apart from how bizarre it all is, we have the Meg displaying more signs of narcissism. It was her daughter's birthday. She posted a birthday message and a picture, fine, leave it there. Then one with Harry, okay, fine, then stop there. Those posts kept most of the focus on Lily, but then this pregnancy dance one took all the attention and all of the headlines off of Lily and the birthday wishes to her and put it all on the Meg, which is exactly what narcissistic parents do. So that's an incredibly bizarre choice. Not very thoughtful, not very kind, not very super mom of her at all. A lot of the internet thinks that this is proof that she did not use a surrogate because, for example, she looks to have an IV placed, but she's not hooked up to anything yet. I mean, maybe she was going to be induced, so they had just placed the IV and they were waiting. I don't know. Others can't get past how strange the bump looks. I totally see both sides. Meghan was late, apparently, past due, so maybe she had to be induced and things like that. Maybe she even had to have C-sections, and maybe that's part of why she's been so weird about all of this. Who knows? The point is that her energy surrounding these rumors and her pregnancy is just weird. It's not a normal mom response, in my opinion, but as far as whether she had a surrogate or not, that's still... I mean, like, there's no way to prove yes or no unless she and Harry actually prove yes or no. And that's what's so strange about it and keeps these rumors alive, is that she and Harry have never come out to actually say no. Therefore, those rumors are still surviving. Even in spite of weird videos like this, because this video, the other picture, they don't disprove surrogacy at all. Because they are so bizarre and so not just like concrete evidence where it's like, oh, obviously, yes, she did carry the children herself. And that's where I think the most weirdness of this situation comes from, is why are you not just squashing the rumor? There's just still so many conflicting accounts, even from what Harry says, from what's normal. Like, you wouldn't be eating before you get induced. You wouldn't be eating if you were going to potentially have a C-section because they don't let you for safety reasons. So it's just essential from a PR perspective, but also for the kids' sake, for Harry and Meghan to come out and officially tell the truth about this, squash the rumors or cop to it, because every time they do these sorts of posts, they're not actually saying the truth. They're not making it clear. They're not clearing anything up. They're leaving room for people to still see the holes in their stories and focus on the inexplicably bizarre elements to these types of videos and pictures. There's no denying that it's strange, and it leaves a lot of room for speculation. I think she's electing not to shut down the rumors on purpose because she can use it to get attention and headlines. And it stirs up a lot of traffic to her Instagram every time she does this because of the surrogacy rumors. So they're using these surrogacy rumors for their own gains, even though it's not in their children's best interest. Because if they had come out and come clean that, yes, they used a surrogate, I mean, like, their reputations would be obliterated beyond our imagination because they have come up with such an elaborate lie for so long. They would be viewed as scammers of everybody. And of course, there's that other element to it with the line of succession. But if they were to come out and just tell the truth and be like, no, we didn't, here is clear proof, we did not use a surrogate, Meghan did carry the children, that was actually undeniable, unlike what they've been doing, then they wouldn't be getting this much attention when they post something about pregnancy or say something about pregnancy on a podcast. So I think that Meghan is definitely using this to her advantage because she knows that this is one of the last sort of conspiracy / rumor things that she can use for drama and to stir up clicks. Because there's really nothing else left. They have no access to the royal family. They have no more gossip of any kind. So it's really just these surrogacy rumors that they have left to sort of pull from to try to get any degree of attention. And the sad part is that their kids are the ones who are kind of being sacrificed in this scenario, in this equation. They come out on the losing end of it because there's these rumors swirling about them and the way they entered the world that their parents are not defending or fixing for them. And that's the part that I think is the most serious. And the fact that she and Harry aren't just coming clean about it and fixing it is what I think is the most bizarre. Apart, of course, from the entire video, what has happened? My eyes, your eyes, is everyone okay? I will include a little bit deeper dive on this in an upcoming video. But in the meantime, back to today's video. So anyway, this was rather odd, especially because she was saying that she, doesn't need to prove anything to anybody anymore. She just said that a couple of weeks ago, and then here she is, half trying to prove in a way that's not actually proving anything. And she should just come out and squash the rumor if it's not true. Just squash it. What the heck is going on? But I will say, if the rumor's true and she did use a surrogate, though, she has dug herself into an even deeper hole. And now it would be all the more bizarre to come out and be like, yeah, we did use a surrogate because of this picture, because of all the things she's been saying on her podcasts about postpartum and pregnancy and stuff like that. Like, that would be a very, very, very big, elaborate lie and lots of digging yourself into a deeper and deeper hole. So she should just come out and squash the rumor, is my point. We could have a whole entire episode about the surrogacy rumors and how it was a horrible way to handle all of these rumors, but we don't have time to dive deeper in it today. We have to get to the next mess that they made. If you want an episode on that, leave it in the comments and click the like button right now so that I know you want a video dedicated to the pregnancy and the birth of Archie and all of that. But anyway, all of this was really quite odd, especially if it was a post meant to celebrate her anniversary with Harry, because I think that was where this picture came from. Like, I don't go on Instagram ever. I should be posting on Instagram with you guys, but I'm not a social media type person. So I'm pretty sure this was the anniversary post that had this weird pregnancy picture. If you are making a post to celebrate your anniversary with Harold, Meghan, then you would think that it would have 0 pictures of just Meg. You know? It would have pictures, every single picture should have Harry in it. But most of the pictures were just Meghan or Meghan and Harry together. But a lot of them were just Meghan, which is kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, if you're celebrating your anniversary, don't you think it should, like, kind of celebrate your spouse a little bit, maybe? So this anniversary message was also strange because it thanked other people outside the relationship for their support, which I thought was pretty strange. It's not a charity. I mean, I know that Meghan and Harold think that they should be treated like a charity, thrown money at and free security and thanked just for existing, but that's not the reality. And so it's super odd to thank other people on your anniversary. I've never heard of this. I've never seen anybody else do this. And I just think it's a really bizarre idea. Adding in a line or two about how much like your friends and family mean to the both of you and how like they've added joy to your lives or something like that, I guess could make sense and have its place in an anniversary message. But typically, an anniversary message is meant to show appreciation for your spouse, and you should be talking about the relationship in a positive light and celebrating your spouse as being something awesome in your life. At least that's what most people would think would be the appropriate etiquette on an anniversary message, not being like, thank you all for loving us and being here for us and supporting us. Meghan has this weird habit of being like, they love me so much. They support me. They just want to see me doing this. And I've never heard someone speak so nonchalantly in this way about these sorts of things in the most bizarre terms that's so blatantly narcissistic as Meghan. Another weird nugget Meghan threw at us recently is that she thought she would be giving speeches with Archie on her hip. Well, good thing we are on the topic of narcissism, because this just proves that she thought of babies as accessories. Because hello, they wiggle, they make noise, they talk, they babble, they drool, they're doing things constantly, and they're cute. So they're going to take attention away from whatever you are saying. So whatever speech you're giving that's meant to convey a message of some kind, people won't really be listening to you. They're going to be looking at the baby. But also putting a baby in that situation where it's being held but ignored by you while you're trying to give a speech and focus on something else. Or like, what about safety first, right? Like putting your baby out there like that in a sort of vulnerable space on display. You know what I mean? Like that feels like it could be a big security concern. Also, what about the baby's comfort? It could be loud and really, really bright on stage. Also, things like the roaring applause. I mean, maybe for Meghan, it was more of a quiet applause and a sort of low energy applause. But regardless, applause when you come out on stage can be like a very loud and intense sound. And just from being on stage, things feel like they surround you with the noise and the lights. That could be very uncomfortable and overstimulating for a baby. What if the baby starts crying? What if it starts wiggling? What if it's like, get me out of here, I'm done. And you're in the middle of trying to give a speech. Like, what was she thinking? How bizarre. It's simply no place for a baby giving a speech. How silly. See, she envisaged the baby just perfectly sitting contently on her hip, making zero sound, not moving at all. That's crazy. I mean, you never know until you have a baby, I guess, to be fair. But at the same time, since she's had one, if you're going to make that comment and you're going to say this sort of a thing on a podcast as a retrospective, the only way for it to actually be normal and relatable to be laughing at yourself that you thought that at one point, that you previously thought, oh my gosh, you have no idea my misconceptions about motherhood and babies. I thought I would be able to just hold them on my hip while I gave a speech. That's what I thought. And then I had a baby and I was like, oh my God, duh. You can't do that. That's silly. Ha 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 ha. How silly I was. But that's not how Meghan did it. She was saying like, oh, the crying. I thought I could give speeches with him on my hip. Totally, threw her for a loop sort of a thing. So she wasn't saying it in a like laughing at her silly idea. She was saying it from a more serious space of like, he was too much of a crier for me to do that, is how it came across. But we have more videos coming out soon, so be sure you're subscribed so you do not miss them. Thank you for joining me today. Leave your thoughts in the comments and I will see you next time. Have a happy day, everybody. Bye. I mean, from my experience, I could not move like that at the end of my pregnancies because I'm really, really small. I'm like at least 5 inches shorter than Meghan. And so everything was just restricted. Like my movement was restricted. It was hard to get in and out of chairs, like from a sitting position. It was hard to get up and out of bed because I like just couldn't move. I was like a turtle stuck on its back because like there was just no flexibility for me to be able to bend, I also did have a lot of serious injuries before my pregnancies around my back, my pelvis, my hip flexors. So maybe I was more stiff than the average pregnant lady. Maybe. Also, for example, my children have all been early. I've never made it all the way to a due date.